Hi, my name is Haley Rose Cargill, and this is my audience. Inequalities in our society have become destructive, not just to the people being affected directly, but also to our economy. The UN SDG subject area I have researched is a topic to reduce inequalities. This brings up one major problem I would like to focus on: inequalities towards disabled. The UN SDG states that inequality threatens both social and economic development and can be detrimental to a person's self-worth and fulfillment. Later in their statement, they go on to say that we cannot achieve sustainable development and make the planet better for all if people are excluded from opportunities, services, and the chance for a better life. This subject is significant because everyone has a right to equality. Many times we try and fail or don't address some important issues that need to be corrected. Through this speech, I will give a few examples and ways that we can change our mindset, behavior, and attitude to create better communities. A few sustainability values that go with this goal are equality, social justice, tolerance, equal opportunity, and respect for diversity. Equality and equal opportunity. Despite the fact that disabled persons are covered under the ADA, even those with mental impairments face discrimination. According to a Medscape article, in the United States, mental disorders are the second most common basis for charges of discrimination and workplace harassment under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Disability is not rigid, regardless of the impairment or how the person is affected. He or she is protected under the ADA. However, too often Americans with disabilities do not have access to the same employment opportunities as the non-disabled population. That is from Thomas K. Shared Justice. So how do we bridge the gap? We need to change our mindset and attitude towards disabled people. We should acknowledge the disability, but instead of treating it like a limitation, we need to think of it as an opportunity. Economic injustice against disabled according to the UUA for employment state. 70% of working-age people with disabilities are unemployed. Most are not in the workforce, even if they want to work. Unemployment rate doubles that of other people. Another major issue lying in front of people with disabilities are the accusations of widespread fraud and contradiction with facts through Social Security disability programs. This comes back to a need to change our attitude towards disabled. During my research, I came across an article written by Linda Atwell, who is the mother of a daughter with a disability. Her daughter has cerebral palsy and can get around with the help of a cane. When she's anxious, her tremors intensify, slowing her pace. Linda had two very different experiences with people in her town and with her daughter Lindsay. The first was of a young man who was patient and took his time to get out of his car and help Lindsay across the street. The second experience was very different, with another man who was very impatient and took his time instead to help her across the street, but to use a few choice words and almost run Lindsay over instead. This is a great example of how a society should strive to be more like the young, patient, tolerant young man. We need to learn tolerance and respect for diversity, take our time to understand the meaning and apply to our daily lives so that our countries and communities can start to thrive. An easy way to start your journey towards these values and to start embodying them is to see what is lawful and unlawful. The Equality and Human Rights Commission goes into depth on disability discrimination and equality acts. They state, and I quote, "Disability discrimination is when you are treated less well or put at a disadvantage for reasons that relates to your disability in one of the situations covered by the Equality Act. The treatment could be a one-off action, the application of a rule or policy, or the existence of physical or communication barriers which make accessing something difficult or impossible. The Equality Act of 2010 says that you must not be discriminated against because 1. You have a disability. 2. Someone thinks you have a disability. This is known as discrimination by perception. Or 3. You are connected to someone with a disability. This is known as discrimination by association. There are 6 main types of discrimination: direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, failure to make reasonable adjustments, discrimination arising from disability, harassment, and victimization. In conclusion, we need to work harder and fight for equality for these individuals. Unfortunately, we see their voices not being heard, so we need to take it upon ourselves as our rightful duty to let it be heard and force a change in our world to be more inclusive and equal. Thank you. My name is Haley Rose Cargill, and this is my audio.